It's Friday, February 23rd. I'm your host, Sarah Beal. On today's show, we talk to Planning and Development Director Elizabeth Jenkins. She fills us in on the updated Hyannis Growth Incentive Zone application. Then Arts and Culture Coordinator Melissa Chartrand talks to the creator of the key idea, Lenore Lyons. And finally, we'll talk about the end of oyster season with Natural Resource Officer Devon Harrington. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. The town of Barnstable's Department of Public Works will be holding a public information meeting regarding a proposed new shared use path along the west side of Burses Way between Route 28 and Pitchers Way. The proposed shared use path will provide a 10-foot wide paved surface for bicyclists, pedestrians, and individuals using assisted mobility devices or other non-motorized modes of transportation. The new shared use path will connect an existing shared use path on Route 28 with an existing shared use path on Burses Way north of Pitchers Way, and which continues along Route 132. The meeting will be held at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, February 28th at the Barnstable Senior Center. The Barnstable Planning and Development Department invites the community to comment on the town's open space and recreation plan at a public meeting on Thursday, March 8th at 6 p.m. in the Town Hall Selectmen's Conference Room. The 2018 Barnstable Open Space and Recreation Plan comprehensively examines Barnstable's open space and recreational facilities and outlines goals for land preservation, fostering agricultural activity, and enhancing active and passive recreation opportunities. Any Barnstable residents with comments about the plan are encouraged to attend. A copy of the 2018 Open Space and Recreation Plan is available for review at townofbarnstable.us. The Planning and Development Department will be taking public comment on the plan until Tuesday, March 12th at noon. Residents and community organizations are encouraged to review the plan and to attend the public hearing with comments or questions. The Recreation Division 2018 parking permits are now available through mail-in process. For those of you that supplied Barnstable Recreation with your email address, you should be receiving your application via email. If you do not receive it or did not supply an email address, applications may be downloaded from the town website. 2018 parking permits beach stickers will be available in person at the HYCC beginning May 7th. Operating hours will be Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Sundays and holidays, 9 a.m. to noon. Coming up next, Planning and Development Director Elizabeth Jenkins. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us. We have some more GIZ talk that we need to do. Some things happened last week at Town Council, so why don't you just let us know where we are right now with the GIZ?
Sure, Sarah. Thank you so much for having me on again to talk about the Downtown Hyannis Growth Incentive Zone. Where we're at right now is that there is a revised application available for review at this point, and the application is revised in three substantive ways. It's revised to address the boundary, to address the new and old Cape Cod Commission regulations, and to incorporate public input. So again, we have that application available. It's up on the town website on the Growth Incentive Zone page for the public to look at. And if I could just take a moment to walk folks through what exactly has changed, because I'm sure people will have questions. And again, it's three major changes. The first one related to the boundary. We did get a request to from the property owners at 35 Scudder to withdraw their request to have that property included in the growth incentive zone. So the major change that you see here is a revision to the boundary, the proposed boundary of the Downtown Hyannis Growth Incentive Zone, from one that included that property in the boundary now to the boundary as it stands today, the original boundary, as we're saying. So the boundary addressed in the application is the original boundary. So any sort of references to those changes or that property were removed from the application.
Okay.
The second thing is just to help ensure that there are no delays in processing our application. We do have an expiration date on our current growth incentive zone. We've made some minor revisions to the document to make sure it will comply either under new or old Cape Cod Commission regulations. So the growth incentive zone, we're allowed to have that as a town through the Cape Cod Commission regulations, this thing that they call Chapter G. So they're going through a process of amending Chapter G in support of our application. It's always been a collaborative process done hand in hand, but should the commission want to take more time with those regulations, This way, the town of Barnstable's applications will comply both with the existing growth incentive zone regs and the proposed growth incentive zone regs. So again, the changes to the application to accomplish that were very minor. We added a new introductory paragraph, and then we specified exactly what kind of projects get reviewed and don't get reviewed. And there were no changes to that from what exists today, but it was just helpful to make that explicit. So that's in there. And the third thing we did was, we've had a number of public hearings on this process, and we had been keeping a list of amendments that we were going to make to the application as a result of those. So we just went ahead and incorporated all of those into the document. But all of those changes were articulated in a document that we had been keeping up and posting. So the vast majority of the application remains unchanged. I think that's an important message. I think if some folks feel that they have to go through the document, it is like a rather large document. Really, we tried to, in a memorandum that we put out and is posted on the website, articulate exactly what those changes are. So that's where we're at today. Because we have a new application, we felt that it was prudent to hold a new public hearing on it. So there'll be a public hearing at the planning board meeting on Monday, as well as at the town council meeting on Thursday.
Okay, so it's a lot, but at the same time, it's not. It's it's the boundaries changed, and some of the other things are changes, but it's not like it's not an overhaul of the whole thing.
It's not a rewrite. I would say that
Right.
Again, with some minor tweaks that were made as a result of public input. The core of the application, which is really that kind of, we call it an infrastructure and amenities analysis, that look at all the different systems that are at work in Hyannis. None of that's really changed, but obviously the boundary change was what solicited a lot of public comment and is a major issue. So that really was the biggest amendment to the application, and again, for that reason, want to make sure that we give folks another opportunity to weigh in, whether it be at the planning board meeting or by submitting written comments to myself or to the planning board and town council.
Wonderful. So let's just remind everyone that the public hearing will be this Monday, February 26th at the 7 o'clock planning board meeting.
Correct.
And also at the Thursday, March 1st town council meeting. There'll be
Correct.
public hearings at both of those meetings. So if people have comments or questions or concerns that they want to make sure that they're heard, those would be the two venues to do that.
Yep.
As
And
well as submitting.
if they can't make it there, submitting comments either to myself or to planning board and town council, and then we'll get that distributed to those individuals.
Okay. Well, it's an interesting process, and it looks like hopefully things will kind of work themselves out.
I mean, it's one that's been evolving through the I guess as a result of community input and kind of the changing regulatory landscape. But that's how these processes go sometimes is that you have to change course in reaction to what you hear. So that's what we're doing.
Wonderful. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us today and giving us an update on the growth agenda.
Thanks for having me as always, Sarah.
My guest today is Elizabeth Jenkins. She's the Director of Planning and Development here in the town of Barnstable. Coming up, Natural Resource Officer Devon Harrington, but first, Arts and Culture Coordinator Melissa Chartrand talks with Lenore Lyons of The Key Idea.
I'm Melissa Chartrand. I'm here with Lenore Lyons, and we are here to talk about the Key Project and the Key Idea. We've sat down before, Lenore. I am so excited to get an update on where this project has gone. I have my keys. Look, I have an envelope that says Lenore, because part of what we'll talk about is that we love keys, and we love having people give, and I'm going to contribute to the pile right now of keys. The Key Idea is a large-scale community engagement project. You have participated in the High Arts Cultural District. We've had you out on the Hyannis Village Green, down at the artist shanties, and many other locations in and around throughout the town of Barnstable about the keys. Let's talk about what that means.
Well, like you said, it's a large-scale community project. So far, over 5,000 people have participated from all over the country and really all over the world in various exhibits. It's been exhibited 10 times, and we have some big projects coming up in 2018.
So before we get to that, let's just explain what it means, the Key Project. So I put the keys in because people come and take them out. They find a key that speaks to them.
They find a key, and they most often pick a key by feel. I've heard over and over again, this key feels really good. So people pick a key, and then they draw it, and then they put it on a piece of paper. It's a heavyweight art paper, and then they answer the question, what does your key open or start or do? And this project actually began with the Cape Cod and Islands art educators in late 2014 as a project that all students could do together. Soon we found out it was much larger than that. While it appealed to students kindergarten through college, it also appealed to adults. So this project expanded to people from 1 to 100. Every age is welcome to participate. And we find it's both challenging and manageable at whatever age. Also, keys appeal to people of every age, and they're kind of going away. They're being replaced by buttons or swipe cards. I've probably collected and given away, close to 10,000 keys, and I'm always looking for more. So thanks for those extra additions.
Welcome. And last time we spoke, so the Key Project started with these groups and areas where you would meet, where people would be able to draw and design. We exhibited here at Town Hall along with other places. And that leads us to now, you did that. Phase 2 was working with rocks and rubbing the keys on the rocks. And at that time, you talked about you weren't sure where the project was going, whether you were going to create a book, whether you were going to take it on the road. And I would let our viewers know that you took it on the road big time. So let's hear about where you just were and where you're going.
Very excited about that. So I still am not sure where it's going. I'm going to trust the process and see where it takes itself, really. So my goal for more than a decade now has been to end up in the Smithsonian, which is the People's Museum, and this is really the People's Project. So this past weekend, we were at the Smithsonian's Anacostia Community Museum for their Mardi Gras celebration. And they're about to start a new exhibit at the Smithsonian called A Right to the City, which will explore the rapid change and development in DC neighborhoods. This project will be what is the key to community, and will gather people's feedback about that exhibit. So A Right to the City will open up in April and be there for 2 years. This project, The Key to Community, will open in October and is scheduled to stay for 6 months at least.
Well, congratulations, Lenore. This is big time. And now, are you a part of that? Are you down in DC for that time?
We'll be going to DC 4 more times before the exhibit and working with local arts communities and representing the Smithsonian at those locations. So we'll be at the library, we'll be at the Anacostia Arts Center, and a couple other festivals that will happen before October. So we are going on the road, and we're heading to DC.
Which is both what you wanted to do. What else do you have planned? It's a big year.
It is a big year. We have 2 other big exhibits. One is through the National Alliance of Mental Illness. We have a program called The Key to Understanding, Stories of Struggle and Healing. And we're gathering stories about people who are suffering with mental illness issues, their caretakers, and first responders. There'll be 3 traveling exhibits for that at 3 different libraries, each for a month. In May, Mental Health Awareness Month will be at the Osterville Village Library. In June, we'll be at the Snow Library in Orleans. And July will be the Mashpee Public Library. And this was funded through the Hope and Grace Foundation, part of the New Venture Fund of Philosophy, Inc. And then our other big exhibit, we expect to exhibit over 2,000 pieces in an exhibit called The Wisdom of Children, which will be at the Cultural Center of Cape Cod.
And that's in Yarmouth.
And that's in Yarmouth, and that will be in July of 2018, and will exhibit work from school children age 5 to 18. And those pieces will be from around the country. And we're really interested, some of the students that were in the flooding in Houston will be participating in that project, and they'll add their own insights on what's important and what's of real value to them.
It's just beautiful when you look at it, when you see them here, and certainly on the website, which we're going to let our viewers know, where they can find out information on all of these exhibits, how they can contribute keys, how they can participate, and they should most definitely, certainly here for folks on Cape Cod, there's plenty of opportunity to check out the exhibits, and perhaps if they're traveling, how magnificent to see it at the Smithsonian and display there. The words are so powerful, out of the mouths of babes, what they have to say, but then again, as you say, across the board, all demographics, all ethnicities. It's interesting and a fascinating look at what the key unlocks.
Well, it's a powerful symbol of something that opens, and people will often write their goals and their dreams, and I feel so grateful to be the keeper of the dreams and share them with other people. People can participate as individuals or families as well. So information is all over the website.
Great. So let's end with that. I hate to end, but it's really more of a beginning for our viewers to find out how can they find you on Facebook, Instagram, social media, websites.
I post regularly on Instagram. It's thekeyidea.org on Facebook, and it's thekeyidea.org is the website, and Facebook is The Key Idea. So it's easy to find.
It is easy to find, Lenore. Thank you so much. We'll look forward at the end of the year to see how the results of these exhibits. So I want you to come back, and then what's next in store.
Okay, I'll tell you then.
That's a date.
Thank you.
For Lenore Lyons and The Key Idea, I'm Melissa Chartrand wishing you an artful day.
Devon, thank you so much for joining us today. This is your first time here in the studio. We have talked to you on the phone before, but we're going to talk about all sorts of different things having to do with shell fishing. The first thing we're going to talk about is East Bay. What can you tell me about East Bay?
So East Bay is an area down in Osterville, which is now open to shell fishing just for the winter months. And this is really cool because this is the first time East Bay has been open in over 20 years.
Wow.
So what that means is the state does water testing at least 5 times a year, and they've been able to collect enough clean water samples to have it open for shellfish, which is really cool. So we'll have, signs down there and maps at our office, and you can always go online and look at the maps there to make sure you're in the right area.
What kind of shellfish can you find in East Bay?
I would say there's mostly quahogs and probably some steamers, off like the backside of Dowses Beach, but you definitely want to pay attention to the signs and the maps because there are random pockets of closure areas.
Okay. Was this a concerted effort to get East Bay to a point where it could be opened?
I was thinking about that. I'm not sure if much has changed, but the water quality data shows that something has changed. So it is, a clean water body for shellfish just in the winter months, though. I want to emphasize that East Bay is very similar to North Bay, that it's closed May through November.
Right. Excellent. So it's nice to know that there's a good spot. When did that open back up?
East Bay opened up a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago.
So it'll be open until what, April or
May
so?
probably,
May.
yes.
Okay, great. So if people are looking for quahogs and things like that, that's a good, might be a good
We've
spot.
had commercial guys out there too, digging
nice.
quahogs, which has been nice to see.
Yeah, great. So that's probably a good sign that there's, plenty over there if the commercial guys are over there.
Yes, absolutely.
I know big season here in the town of Barnstable. Everyone goes crazy. It's oyster season, and it's starting to wind down. The last day for oysters is going to be March 7th.
Yes.
So it's we've got about 2 weeks left. Would you say that the season's gone well? Is there a pretty good stock still out there that if people are looking to get out there, they can?
Yeah, I had probably like 50-ish people down there yesterday at Scudder.
Oh, well,
so that's
so
a lot
nice
of people. It was a really nice day. It's family vacation week. But yes, oysters will close March 7th. That's a Wednesday. So if people want to get oysters up until March 7th, something really important to know is that the permits will expire on March 1st. So we are selling permits now. You can come in and get a new shell fishing permit. So you can get the resident is $40, non-resident is $140. We have a senior permit for $30, and then you can get a seasonal permit, which is good June through August, and that is $70.
Wonderful. And the seasonal permits is kind of for maybe people that are here just for the summer,
Exactly.
non-residents.
Yes. But if you like oysters, then you want to get your, resident, non-resident to be able to use it in March.
Right, for this last week and a half or so.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff still at Scudder, kind of closer to the Harris Meadow side. And then also Bay Street down in Osterville is a really good location in North Bay.
I've never been out to Bay Street. What is it like? Because I've only been down in Scudder for oysters. What is Bay Street like?
Bay Street's really cool. It's very different from Barnstable Harbor, but it's nice that you have this landing very close to all the oysters. It's a pretty accessible area. You don't have to walk too far. We have oysters, right off the landing, and then continuing kind of further down to the right. There's also really good digging of quahogs in North Bay. Most people will go get their half a peck of oysters, check in with us, and then they'll go back out and get a full peck of quahogs. Which is awesome.
Nice. How has the razor clam season been? Because I know that you're going to have some classes, but because of the weather, they got canceled. I wonder if people are still out there doing razor clams.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of, I would say there's more commercial people getting razor clams in Barnstable Harbor, but we definitely have some very adamant, consistent recreational shellfishers who will go out and do that salting solution down the razor clam holes. The razor clams pop out. So I checked a lot of razor clams at Scudder yesterday too, so it's good to see people doing that as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that people are kind of picking up on that, and that's a new thing. What is the razor clam season like? I mean, is it just ongoing? Yeah.
Yeah, there's not really a different season for oysters. It's razor clams are more like quahogs. They're open in certain areas year round.
Okay.
They're only in Barnstable Harbor. There's stout razor clams on the south side, but not something you see people get too often. So the razor clams are really, really good up there.
Okay, so just a reminder to everybody is that oyster season closes March 7th.
Yes.
But all shellfishing licenses, recreational shellfishing licenses expire March 1st, so you're going to need to renew that if you want to keep getting oysters through March 7th.
Yes.
And it's just a good thing to renew it anyways. It's that time of year. If you know you're going to be out there getting shellfish throughout the year, it's a good time to do it. Devon, is there anything else you want to talk about before I let you go?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming in and joining us
today. Thank you for having me.
My guest today is Devon Harrington. She's a natural resource officer here in the town of Barnstable. Now let's take a look at this weekend's community calendar. The Hyannis Library is hosting a fun event this Saturday, Tales to Tales, Come Read or Show a Book to a Dog. This Saturday from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., children are invited to read or show a book to a dog from the Companion Animal Program. This event is free and open to the public. You can register in advance by visiting hyannislibrary.org or by calling 508-775-2280. The final date of the Skate for Love food drive is this Saturday, February 24th. Drop a non-perishable food item at the skate rental room for your chance to win free public skating for a year. You do not have to attend a public skating session to be a part of this great event. All items collected will be distributed to local food pantries on Cape Cod. The lucky winner will be selected on Saturday, February 24th after the public skating session. For a complete list of Bill Zekian public skating sessions, please visit townofbarnstable.us/HYCC. Now let's take a look at next week's board committee and commission schedule. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back on Monday with an all-new show. On Monday's show, we'll meet Barnstable Youth Commission Chair Matt Hersey, and we'll learn all about the Communications Department and radio station at Cape Cod Community College with Naomi Ehrenberg. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Beal.